One of Germany's most senior cardinals, Cardinal Gerhard Ludwig Müller, has warned that globalist super-wealthy elites, including billionaires like Bill Gates and George Soros, as well as Davos Economic Forum chairman Klaus Schwab, are attempting to use the coronavirus outbreak to bring the entire globe under total control. During an interview with Austria's St. Boniface Institute, Cardinal Gerhard Ludwig Müller, who also serves as a high-ranking judge at the Vatican court, made the remarks. Müller insisted that people, who sit on the throne of their wealth, are seizing an opportunity to push through their agenda. A worldwide surveillance state, the cardinal said, has resulted in chaos and turmoil, in part because elites are trying to snatch an opportunity to bring people into line by instituting a global surveillance state. Globalists are attempting to usher in a new man into the globe, who will be made in their own image and likeness, according to Müller, who cautioned that this has absolutely nothing to do with democracy.
Wir haben ja ein gewisses Chaos, ein Durcheinander der Maßnahmen, einerseits geboren aus der mangelnden Kenntnis über die Wirksamkeit und die Gefährlichkeit dieses Virus, andererseits aber auch geboren aus dem Willen, die Gelegenheit zu nutzen, die Menschen jetzt gleichzuschalten, einer totalen Kontrolle zu unterziehen, einen Überwachungsstaat zu etablieren, wie ja die Vertreter von Big Reset jetzt auch selber gesagt haben, der Klaus Schwab, Corona ist eine Chance. Viele Menschen sterben, sind krank, sind schwer eingeschränkt in ihrem Leben. Die Wirtschaft wird schwer beschädigt. Die Kinder können nicht in die Schule gehen, was dramatische Langzeitschäden für ihre Seele und für ihren Geist zur Folge haben wird. Und dann gibt es Leute, die auf ihrem Thron ihres Reichtums sitzen und von all diesen alltäglichen Schwierigkeiten nicht berührt werden, die dann groß verkünden, das ist eine Chance, jetzt um ihre Agenda durchzusetzen. Das ist eine Agenda, die ja auf einer Hochstapelei beruht, nämlich die Meinung, wir könnten jetzt mit Hilfe der modernen Technik oder des Kommunikationswesens eine neue Schöpfung hervorbringen, einen neuen Menschen erschaffen, aber eben nach ihrem Bild und Gleichnis. Und ich möchte eigentlich nicht geschaffen und erlöst werden nach dem Bild und Gleichnis von Klaus Schwab oder Bill Gates oder Soros und all diesen Leuten, die nach Glasgow mit Privatjets sausen und dann der Masse, wie sie sich ja ausdrücken, nun die großen Sparmaßnahmen und Einschränkungen auferlegen. Das hat eigentlich auch politisch gesehen mit einer Demokratie nichts mehr zu tun, wo jeder Mensch eben auch gleichberechtigt ist.
The Cardinal's views were instantly condemned by the German media as conspiracy theories, with Der Spiegel magazine also suggesting that his comments could be anti-Semitic. In an email to the German news agency dpa, Müller made the argument that it is incorrect to assume that anyone who criticizes the financial elite is automatically on the wrong side, and that super-rich elites in various countries are exerting illegitimate influence over the world's people. Müller is not the first prominent figure in the Catholic Church to warn about the dark objectives behind the Great Reset. Cardinal Raymond Burke, one of the most powerful Catholics in the United States, gave a homily in which he savaged secular forces, who want to make us slaves to their godless and murderous agenda. He said, then there is the mysterious Wuhan virus about whose nature and prevention the mass media daily give us conflicting information. What is clear, however, is that it has been used by certain forces, inimical to families and to the freedom of nations, to advance their evil agenda. These forces tell us that we are now the subjects of the so-called Great Reset, the new normal, which is dictated to us by their manipulation of citizens and nations through ignorance and fear.
Praised be Jesus Christ. We come to Our Lady of Guadalupe on her feast day with troubled and heavy hearts. Our nation is going through a crisis which threatens its very future as free and democratic. The worldwide spread of Marxist materialism, which has already brought destruction and death to the lives of so many, and which has threatened the foundations of our nation for decades, and now seems to seize the governing power over our nation. To attain economic gains, we as a nation have permitted ourselves to become dependent upon the Chinese Communist Party, an ideology totally opposed to the Christian foundations upon which families and our nation remain safe and prosper. I speak of the United States of America, but evidently many other nations are in the throes of a similar, most alarming crisis. Then there is the mysterious Wuhan virus, about whose nature and prevention the mass media daily give us conflicting information. What is clear, however, is that it has been used by certain forces inimical to families and to the freedom of nations to advance their evil agenda. These forces tell us that we are now the subjects of the so-called Great Reset, the new normal, which is dictated to us by their manipulation of citizens and nations through ignorance and fear. Now we are supposed to find in a disease and its prevention the way to understand and direct our lives, rather than in God and in His plan for our salvation. The response of many bishops and priests and of many faithful has manifested a woeful lack of sound catechesis. So many in the Church seem to have no understanding of how Christ continues His saving work in times of plague and of other disasters. What is more, our Holy Mother Church, the spotless bride of Christ, in which Christ is ever at work for our eternal redemption, is beset by reports of moral corruption, especially in matters of the 6th and 7th commandments, which seem to increase by the day. In our own nation, the reports about Theodore McCarrick have rightly tempted many devoted Catholics to question the shepherds who, in accord with Christ's plan for the Church, are to be their secure guides by teaching the truths of the faith, by leading them in the fitting worship of God and in prayer to Him, and by guiding them by means of the Church's perennial discipline. Too often, the faithful receive nothing in response, or a response which is not grounded in the unchanging truths regarding faith and morals. They receive responses that seem to come not from shepherds, but from secular managers. The confusion regarding what the Church truly teaches and demands of us in accord with her teaching generates ever greater divisions within the body of Christ. All of this cripples the Church in her mission of witness to divine truth and divine love at a time when the world has never needed more the Church to be a beacon. In encountering the world, the Church falsely wants to accommodate herself to the world instead of calling the world to conversion in obedience to the divine law written on every human heart and revealed in its fullness in the redemptive incarnation of God the Son. These grievous troubles, of course, present a formidable challenge to our daily Christian living. The impact of the crisis in the world and in the church is profound for all of us. Many are enduring the most painful suffering, physical, emotional, and spiritual, which such a situation necessarily causes. At a time when we need to be close to one another in Christian love, worldly forces would isolate us and have us believe that we are alone and dependent upon secular forces, which would make us slaves to their godless and murderous agenda.
In October 2020, Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano wrote an open letter to President Trump, claiming that the COVID-19 pandemic is part of a plot to impose a health dictatorship. Vigano wrote, "We see heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to this suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as instrumental to the establishment of an inhuman, faceless tyranny." He added that the Great Reset sought to inflict the imposition of liberticidal measures, hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring a universal income and cancelling individual debt. The following is the letter Archbishop Vigano sent to President Trump. Please leave your comments below on what you think. Also, please like or dislike the video, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be notified when we post new videos. Thank you.